Alrighty. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you find yourself today. This is Analyze This. Today, I'm pretty sure it's just gonna be me by myself alone because my co-host is not around. So hopefully, hopefully he can join us. But if not, the show goes on. Alrighty. You're welcome to Analyze This. My name is Nana Osei Bonsu Jr. of Africa International Organization and Certo Leadership International. Today we're going to be talking about just two topics on Analyze This. If you want to be a part of it, you can hit me up and I will send you the link to be a part of it. If you have questions, we're on Facebook Live. So if you have questions, any contributions, dissenting opinions, on this platform, we don't shy away from dissenting opinions. If you have a different opinion, if you have a different view, you can table it respectfully, and we are going to dissect it, look at it, and agree to disagree, learn from each other, and better ourselves so we can better our environment, our communities, our nation, our continent at large. So on this platform, we don't entertain insults. On this platform, we respect each and everybody's opinion. We may not agree, but we respect your opinion. So you're more than welcome to be a part of this discussion. Due to some experiences we've had previously, we're now gonna be very circumspect of putting our links out there for people to be a part of it, because we've had some unscrupulous people hijacked our platform and showcased some crazy, unpalatable stuff on our platform. So we are very skeptical now. So if you want to be a part of it, just hit me up. I'll send you the link, and you can join us on Zoom, or you can also join us on Facebook. All right. As usual, creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by the educated mind. I want to repeat myself. This is very important to us, for us to understand this concept that creativity and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. So educate yourself and create, educate yourself and invent. Do not ever think that you would have to be of a certain skin color to be able to be creative and to be able to be inventive. That is not true. That is a big lie from the pit of hell. So creativity again and inventions are not by the color of one's skin, but by an educated mind. So educate yourself and create, educate yourself and invent. With that being said, as I said earlier, we're going to be discussing two topics. As you all know, analyzes issues that are coming out of Ghana. And most of the time, we believe that even though we're speaking specifically to certain issues in Ghana, most of our issues cuts across the African continent, because most of the things that are happening in Ghana, you find same things are happening in some other African countries. So even though we're speaking specifically to Ghana, we believe that it resonates with people from the other African countries as well. So y'all can be a part of it and we can judge all and discuss these issues. So this week I saw a video of, I believe it's what's the name of this blogger? Gossips 24 showed a video of three girls who killed um a boy in Kumasi. I believe they had an altercation or whatever happened, and one of them had a knife and stabbed the boy um, a few times, which eventually killed the boy. A very unfortunate incident. We're not here to talk about what caused the issue or why this happened. That's not important to us, but we are here to, and I like specifically the way Clement, the Gossips 24 presenter, presented the issue. He said, somebody told me, is this about child raising, or it is because kids of these days have their own way of doing things? But I want to pick it from that angle. We are going to be blunt and call a spade on this platform. So training children, training children is becoming an issue. Once upon a time, if you walk on the streets of Accra or wherever in Ghana and you do something wrong, you find any sane elderly person would call your attention to whatever you're doing wrong or would either report you to your parents, but it looks like that kind of living is no longer in existence in Ghana specifically. Like I said, we're going to be speaking specifically to Ghana, but I believe it cuts across all the African continents. So it is very important that we understand the dynamics of child raising in our dispensation. It's changed. But as I said, we're going to be blunt on this platform. The issue is parenting. The issue is parenting. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to cut corners. The issue is parenting. We are having issues of parenting, which is affecting the upbringing of the children. And it's not just the issue of what happened in Kumasi. Oh, Miss Samantha Harper. Hello, hello, hello. It's been a while. I hope all is well with you. Oh, Mrs. I see you. I see you. Thank you for your time, uh, being part of this discussion. But I believe it's important we all share ideas on some of these things because we are losing a generation to some craziness, and we ought to um, be concerned about it and start working towards um, fixing the issues facing the younger generation. Because this is not the first time issues relating to kids, killing kids. I believe it happened in one of the senior high schools in Accra sometime just recently. Some kids in somewhere Kaswa also went ahead and they killed, I believe they killed a 10-year-old boy or something of that nature. These things are happening and it's not just um an issue we have to take it lightly. We ought to be serious about it. It's parenting is not it's not something we leave for chance. I've said this here before, and I'm going to repeat myself. Parenting, I hear people saying we don't have a blueprint for parenting. Yes, we may not have anything written down for parents to go by, but we have values, we have laws, we have principles that we can use to guide and help our children to understand the concepts and the dynamics of life. You know, we ask ourselves, how many parents have discussions with their kids on daily basis? We find ourselves wanting. You know, but people are going to tell you we're busy. We have to chase the daily bread. It is important that you chase the daily bread, but you have to be deliberate. Yesterday I spoke about this on Leadership Academy. Life is a deliberate and a planning project. You cannot just leave anything to chance. It doesn't happen that way. If you want to be successful in everything, in every entity you find yourself in, you find out what are the laws guiding this particular entity, what are the laws ruling this particular entity. Every entity we find ourselves in operates on laws. And so if we're talking about parenting, there are laws guiding parenting. So when people tell me we don't have blueprints, yes, we ain't got nothing written down whereby you're gonna read it and say, law one, you have to do this. No, but they are laws, they are principles, laws of integrity, laws of truth, laws of love. These are all values that we need to teach our children. Laws of respect. These are values we need to teach our children. We cannot just leave them to chance. Because if we leave them to chance, they are going to grow out and they're going to learn from the environment. And so whatever becomes convenient for them is what they are going to adapt. Whatever becomes convenient for them is what they're going to adapt, is what they're going to learn. That is why in some countries, when kids within a certain age bracket commits an offense, guess who they go to? They charge the parents because they understand that parenting is important. You ought to guide, direct, you ought to train the children. Let them understand the value of life. You see, and it looks as if our lives are built on some false values. I'm not going to go into details on that. That is on Leadership Academy, but I just want to draw our attention to the fact that our lives are built on false values. We've been made to believe certain things that are not true. And it's not helping us progress in life. And we ought to pay attention to some of these things. I tell my kids, when you hear something, when somebody tells you something, and you want to find out whatever you've been told is true, even if I tell them something, they don't have to just take it because I said so. Well, on the basis of trust, yes, they would do that. But then they would have to ask questions. They would have to process that information, put that information against truth, put that information against laws. And if it varies, question whoever spoke to you about it. You see, let us help our children to be critical thinkers. Let us guide and direct them to be critical thinkers on the lines of laws. One thing I always tell my kids, life is made up of laws. You either learn to obey them voluntarily from home, or when you go out there, somebody is going to force you to obey them. So if they don't learn to obey the laws at home and they go out there and they violate the laws, guess what? The government is going to force them. Law enforcement agencies will be there to force them to obey the laws. So which one would you prefer? So parents, we have to be up and doing. We have to be up and doing. And you see, some of the false concepts we've been made to buy into is the fact that, oh, some kids are naturally good and some kids are naturally bad. That is not true. That is false. No kid is naturally good and no kid is naturally bad. That is why you are called a parent. If that is the case, then we don't need parents. We just have to give birth, have the babies, and just walk away, just like animals, some animals do. So long as you have the tag, you have the responsibility to care, to train, to bring that child to a certain age of expectancy, you ought to be able to be up and doing. That is your responsibility. That is your task as a parent. There is nothing like, oh, this person is blessed with a good child, and this person is not lucky with a bad child. There's nothing like that. We ought to train the children. And as I always say, training for me, it involves 3 I's. You illustrate, you imbibe, and you instruct. You illustrate, you imbibe, and you instruct. You got to illustrate whatever you want your children to do to them. You don't just tell them. You don't just instruct them. You don't just force them to do stuff. You do it first for them to see. You live an exemplary life for the children to follow suit. And this comes back to one of the things that is hurting us, the absentee fathers in the lives of their children. It is very, 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 very critical. We got to understand that the father plays a major role in training the children. And so I'm trying to analyze this issue of Gossips 24, asking, is this issue an issue of parenting? And my answer is a big yes, it's an issue of parenting. You see, there's a reason why we have a father and we have a mother. There's a reason why two people come together, two distinct individuals come together to create that baby. So it takes the two. Everybody has a role to play in the upbringing of the child. The mother has a role to play. The father has a role to play. And so when one role is relinquished to the other, it creates a problem. So please don't let us buy into the lie that some people are blessed with good children and some people are not lucky with bad children. It's a lie. No child comes to this earth claiming to be good, and no child comes to this earth claiming to be bad. When we want to share our responsibilities, that is the cloak behind which we hide. Let us be up and doing. Children needs to be trained. Children needs to be guided. Values needs to be imbibed into the children. They need instructions. They need corrections. And it's becoming a crazy issue now. It's becoming a crazy issue now. So we don't have to be hiding behind the lies. We have to be up and doing as parents. Train your children. Don't rear them. Train your children. Don't rear them. I am included. We ought to train our children. And if we fail, we've got to understand that we failed. So some of the things people would say is the fact that no matter what you do, I have done everything I could. The child still turn out. I beg to differ. We think we have done everything within our power. But again, did we do what what we're supposed to be doing rightly? Are we doing right by the kids, or we're doing good by the kids? These are some of the questions we ought to be asking ourselves. Sometimes we could be good to the kids where we're supposed to be right by the kids. Okay, so parents, we ought to be up and doing. If we don't understand what we're doing, we ought to learn. There are books, there are seminars, it's important. We ought to learn. You know, sometimes it beats my mind where people would have to go through some training to drive. We go through training for certain things that are not life altering and life changing. And yet, sometimes we refuse to subject our ego to train and to learn about how to bring another life to certain expected space or place. If we have to invest in doing that, we ought to do that because it is important. And I'm of the opinion that if your child succeeds, you have succeeded as a parent. If your child fails, you have failed as a parent. So the issue of those three girls killing that boy in Kumasi, yes, is an issue of parenting. I'm not going to play around with words. It's an issue of parenting. The parents are not doing something right, and they ought to sit up and look at what they have been doing all this time and see what they can correct to prevent any further issues with these kids. So, like I said, the three I's in training kids, we have to illustrate. You don't tell the kids A and you do B. You don't lie to kids. I remember when we're growing up, and this is one thing my dad would not negotiate on. I remember one time I was crying and my mom was going out and I wanted to go with her. And she was like, just go get your shoes and come. I'm waiting for you. Apparently, she was just asking me to go get my shoes. By the time I get back, she's gone. Immediately, my dad stepped in, said, don't lie to the kid. You know you're not going with him. Let him understand that you're not going with him and explain to him why you're not going with him. And sometimes, we think these are petty lies we are giving to the kids just to, no, they're not petty. It becomes part of them. It becomes part of their psyche. They grow with that thinking. They grow with that understanding. Oh, stop crying. I'll get you a chocolate. I'll get you a bar of chocolate. Stop crying. I'll get you some candies. Explain to the child the reason why you ought to stop doing what you're doing or stop crying. And if the child needs to cry, so be it. And then when we promise, we got to deliver. We don't lie to kids and think it's okay. It is not okay. And so the kids grow up and they tend to be liars. And it's okay with them. You see grown-ups lying and they think it's okay. I don't blame them. That is the culture that has been created from their infancy. So parents, let us invest in training our children because it is very important. It is very critical. And fathers, recently there's been a study which shows that when both parents raise up a kid, the kid turns out to be good or a responsible kid. When just the father raises up a kid, the kid turns out to be as good as both parents raised up a kid. But when just the woman, the mother, raises up a kid, the probability of the kid going wayward is high. So it tells you the significance of fathers or fatherhood in the raising of children. And so fathers, be up and doing. You may have issues with, you may not be together as married couples. You may have issues with your ex-wife, with your ex-girlfriend, whoever you had that baby with. The kid has nothing to do with that problem. That is your problem. Fix that, deal with it. But don't leave that kid hanging. Don't leave that child hanging. So parenting, it's very, very critical. The other time we were talking about um, uh, um, the pastor whose son had an accident. And I hear some excuses people were giving about the fact that, pastors, they are dedicated to the things of God. They are dedicated to the church, so they don't even have time for their family. And I said something which I still stand by it. If you're a pastor and you don't have time for your family, you are not qualified to be a pastor. You're not qualified because you first have to pastor your home. That is where your responsibility begins before it goes to the church. I know I'm being harsh, but that is the reality. So let us learn to understand the laws and let us teach those laws to our kids. It is very vital. Let them grow with that understanding of law because that is the only way they can make their way prosperous and have good success, to understand that life is about laws. Let us teach them to the children. Let us train them. Let us illustrate whatever we're telling them. We got to illustrate it. They got to see it in us. And then number two, we have to imbibe it into them. Imbibing takes time. That is where you explain. That is where you ask questions. That is where the kid asks questions. And you dialogue with the kid. You go back and forth. You give and take. You explain stuff to them. You ask them questions. Help them to gain understanding. That is where you are imbibing the laws into them. You are imbibing the values into them. Recently, I saw a little video where I thought it was interesting. It was meant for fun, I believe, but it sent a very valuable lesson to me, where a kid was sitting with a mom, and a debtor was coming in to basically harass the mom for her money. So the mom dashed into the room and told the kid, "Hey, if such a such lady got here, tell her I'm not home." So the mom went into hiding, and the kid waited till the lady got to the house, and the lady was like, "Hey, how are you?" She said, "I'm fine. Where's your mom?" She said, "She just went into the room, told me to tell you she's not here." So the mom heard it, came out, was pissed off, paid the lady off, and wanted to chastise the kid. But the kid said something to the mom. "Didn't I tell you you should tell the lady I wasn't in?" She said, yes, but you told me never to lie. So I told the truth. If you are able to imbibe laws into the children, they will grow up with those values. That's all I'm trying to say. And that is what I understood from the story. Even though it was meant for jokes on social media, but I learned a valuable lesson out of it. Teach the children, imbibe those laws into them. And then finally, after you've illustrated, you've imbibed the laws into them, then you can instruct them to obey and to abide by those laws. But one of the things I've realized with most parents is where they take away the illustration, they take away the imbibing the laws into the kids, and they only abide by instructing the kids. And sometimes we even punish without explaining to them. I remember when I was growing up, my dad will ask you to read certain Bible verses when he's about to punish you. You know, it is important we get to talk to our children. We have to discipline when it's time to discipline. We have to explain when it's time to explain. It is very important. I want to see if we have any questions. John Atta, thank you for being here with us. Well, I don't see any questions on Facebook. And the next thing I want to talk about is another trend going on. It's a negative trend going on in Ghana where people of certain repute or people of certain standing, social standing would arrest people for defaming them. I know it's been happening. Recently, there was a pastor who arrested a blogger for defaming him. And I believe last week, another actress also arrested, got, let me use my words advisedly. It was believed that an actor got arrested because he says something untrue about an actress. Again, on this platform, we're not here to tarnish anybody's image. We're not here to disgrace anybody. We're not here to talk about people. We're here to address issues. That's why I'm not mentioning the names. I have the names written down here, but I'm not mentioning them for a reason. Because we're not here on a personality attack. We're here to solve issues, bring issues to the attention of the people so we can together find solution to the problems facing our communities. So I was watching the video on social media, and it was purported that an actor who said something about an actress um got arrested by the actress. But one thing we got to understand that an issue of defamation is not a criminal issue unless it is a threat to the security of a nation or to the nation. And sometimes it baffles me where the police officers will also go out and carry out that responsibility or that duty of arresting people based on the fact that they have just defamed people. It is not, you see, the police should be empowered. They should be equipped to educate people when they come to them with such issues. It should be the responsibility of the police officers to tell people, I cannot arrest this person because on the basis of defamation. Point them to the right direction. You got to educate them. Let them know if somebody defames you, you go to court to seek redress. It is not a matter of criminality. I cannot go and arrest the person and throw the person in the jail just because the person, you claim the person says something negative about you or something untrue about you. If we don't address this issue, it will degenerate into something else. You know, the issue of libel laws, I believe it was 2001 when it was repealed in Ghana. So we don't have libel laws in Ghana. You cannot criminalize defamation unless it borders on the security of the nation. Other than that, it's a civil issue. You go to court and seek redress. Okay, I thought I had a question, but it's not a question. Um, Evangelist Josh is watching. Thank you so much for your time, Evangelist. Nana Kaitri Ama Pokua Obeng is watching. Thank you so much, Nana Kaitri Ama Pokua Obeng. I like the name, beautiful name. So please, we especially journalists and the police needs to take up this responsibility of educating the public to understand. I don't care about your connections, your political connections. If I'm a police officer and I'm here to serve the people, and you bring an issue to me, which I realize it's not my place to get into that issue, I have to redirect you. You may not know. I understand. I get it. Some of these people think I have the connections. I can, you see, sometimes I hear stuff like, I'm going to teach this person a lesson. Teaching people a lesson is not within your power. It is within the power of the law. That is one thing we got to understand. Teaching people a lesson, it's not within your power as a minister or even as a politician or as whoever. It has to be within the laws of the land. So please, Ghana Police Service, please be up and doing, be responsible. Tell people this is not a place for you to seek redress. We're not here to arrest people because they defamed you. If we don't take care, we'll go back to the days of libel laws in Ghana, even though it's been repealed of the status books, but we will still be doing it, which is still going on. If you're connected, if you have money, you can get somebody arrested because they said something negative about you or because they said something untrue about you. And sometimes they throw people in jail and they don't even take them to court on time. They violate all the laws surrounding some of these things. And people want to do this in the name of, I want to show them where power lies. Come on. Come on. Let us learn to do the right thing. There is a reason the libel law was repealed from our books. Let us not practice those things that have been repealed. If it's been repealed, let them be repealed. Let us use the right means and the right channel to address, seek redress, and to address issues within our community. That's the only way we can create a progressive and a law-abiding society. You know, when I was talking about the children, the parenting issue, something skipped me. It just came back to mind, so I'm just rushing back to it. You see, the example some of these older people give to the children, as I was talking about the three I's: illustration, imbibing, and instructing the child, which embodies training. When we talk about training, the three I's. Sometimes it's so disgusting to see older people and even some priests who will sit on social media and tell people, if you insult me, I will insult you back. If you insult me, I will insult you back. Forget about the fact that I'm a priest. And I ask myself, where are we going to as a nation? Where are we going to as a community? Where are we heading towards as a people? And you can even find politicians sit on social media and insult, literally insulting people. You find journalists sit on social media and literally insult people, use unprintable words. And you wondering why the society has degenerated into this, why the kids are going wayward. It is our responsibility as parents, as the older generation. Let us set the example. There are certain people I don't watch their videos. I don't watch them because I cannot watch them and tell my kids not to behave that same way. Where people have shifted from addressing issues and addressing personalities, insulting people. So if we really want to bring sanity into the system, if we really want to help the children, the generation, the younger generation to be law abiding, we got to be law abiding. So libel laws were repealed from our status books almost about 20 some years ago. Let it stay that way. No matter your connections, no matter your status in society, no matter who you are, if somebody says something negative about you, or you think somebody has defamed your has defamed you, please, we go to court to seek redress. We don't go to the police. We don't throw such people into jail. It is not a criminal issue. And I want journalists to start talking about this. I want journalists to start educating the people, the public, on some of these issues because it is important and it affects journalists. It affects free speech. If we don't take care and the libel laws are rolled back into the books, those who are going to suffer the most are going to be journalists. So please, let us be up and doing. Let us educate the people. Let us speak vehemently about it. Let us condemn it because it's not helping anybody. Yes, some people might take undue advantage of free speech and speak ill about people and lie about people. Let the law take its course. Take them to court. Let them pay some damages. Let them be penalized by the court. It is not the responsibility of the police officers to be arresting people for defamation. Those days are way past gone. We got to learn to be law-abiding people. We got to learn to abide by laws because laws are the only way we can be progressive within our communities. If we don't abide by laws, the communities and our nation is going to degenerate. As we are seeing, it is because of our lack of respect for laws. That is why we are where we are, even in Africa, not just Ghana. In Africa, we don't even understand laws. We don't understand principles. So we are violating laws. The lawmakers are violating laws. The citizens are violating laws. The custodians of the laws are violating laws. The enforcers of the laws are violating laws. Everybody's violating laws, one way or the other. Because you spoke against me and I have some connections, I have some money, I have to violate a law. Because you violated my dignity. I remember when I was growing up, my dad would always say that nobody can tarnish your image. Nobody can tarnish your integrity. Let me put it rightly. Nobody can tarnish your integrity. And I never understood it. So I was like, what if the person goes around and say negative things about you? If the person says negative things about you, is it true? Did you do it? If you did it, then the person is telling the truth. If you didn't, the person is a liar. Where does it affect your integrity? And when we talk about integrity, do we know what integrity means? It means one, wholeness. It means your thoughts align with what you say, and what you say aligns with what you do. That is integrity. And so if you align your thoughts with your speech and your actions, nobody can tarnish that image. You will be known for your integrity. People who are concerned and they're fast to defend themselves and they vehemently go out there to defend themselves have a problem with integrity. They have a problem with integrity. When you're a person of integrity, sometimes you don't even have to defend yourself. People will fight for you. People will tell you, no, 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 no. What you're saying is not true about this person. I'm not going to believe that. And guess what? Even if you come out to defend yourself and insult and do all the things, the antics and whatever to defend yourself, those who are going to believe are going to believe anyway. Those who are not going to believe are not going to believe anyway. So let us learn to be people of integrity. What we think, what we say, what we do got to align, and stop worrying about what people will say about us. Because what people say is about you. If that affects your life, if you allow it to affect your life, then that's your problem. Because people are going to say anything about you anyway. I believe it's Winston Churchill says something very profound. He said, if you stop to throw a stone at every dog who is barking at you on your journey, you will never get to your destination. And it's very true. If you want to stop at every dog's bark at you to throw a stone, you're never going to get to your destination. Guess what? There are a whole bunch of dogs lined up on your way. So let us learn to be law-abiding people and not worry about what people are going to say about us. If you are bothered, use the law to address the issue. Use the law to seek redress. Don't use your power. Don't use your money. Because then we are going to create a community of survival of the fittest, which is animalistic. It is not a community of humans. This is what I'm going to say to end up today's Analyze This. We have to learn to understand laws. If we have to invest money, time, effort into learning to understand laws, we got to do it. One thing we as a people ought to be doing, which we're not doing, is to seek for understanding. It is very vital in our day-to-day life. If we have understanding, certain things are not going to bother us. And we ought to seek understanding to be able to understand the laws and live within the laws of our community, of our nation, of our continent, to see ourselves progressing as a people. We cannot progress without laws or principles. We got to learn to live by them if we want to be a progressive people. Thank you so much for being a part. I still don't have any questions. I see John Ajiman Boatin. Thank you for your time. Thank you for investing your time in Analyze This. We are going to come your way next week, same time. Hopefully, my co-host is going to be able to join me next week. If not, I'm still going to be here, and we are going to analyze issues that will come up in the course of the week in Ghana or in Africa. Whichever way, we're going to be here, and we are going to analyze those issues so we can together learn, better ourselves, and better our communities. Thank you so much. See you next week, same time. Invite a friend to invite a friend to invite a friend. Bye-bye, and have a wonderful weekend.